These are some stills that Kevin took leading up to fight 265. That's Karahat Sorsupawan wrapping my hands for my fight, which is fucking incredible. He's awesome. This fight was up in Chiang Rai, and it was at a school, so all of these are just desks pushed together to have my massage on, and then walking to the ring. It had been 7 months since my last fight to this one, and this was live on TV on Channel 5, which is like a public channel, so I was not especially nervous, but it's one of those things where like you don't know everything about the fight. You kind of find things out as you're there. Like this was for a 112-pound IPCC title. I was already 108-pound IPCC world champion, and this was for the 112 title. I weigh 100 pounds, like walking around, so that's neither of those are my weight. But you always have these like VIP stages, and they had pre-broadcast fights, and then there's a break, and there's a lot of talking and intro before the actual broadcast starts. But you have to be in the ring and ready to go when TV starts because it's in like an allotted time frame. I really like the color palette here. We're just coming over to get my gloves put on. And if you're watching this in the future, this is 2020, COVID is happening, and so everyone has to be wearing these masks. That man behind me to my right, that's Pipong. He's one of the promoters up in Chiang Rai, which is a little bit north of Chiang Mai. I also fought in Chiang Rai for my 108-pound IPCC title. I've had good track record up in Chiang Rai, actually. I became Northern champion up there. So that's the VIP stage. Every single one of those people gets introduced while I'm standing in the ring with my opponent as the lead-in on broadcast TV, talking about who all the important people are, who all the sponsors are, stuff like that. This was in late October, and it was cold, man. I come from Colorado. I know what real cold is. This is not real cold, but I've been living in Thailand for like 8 years. And when we were standing in the ring for probably 30 minutes while they're doing all of their like introductions and who's who and who's sponsoring this and all this stuff, oh my God, I was so cold. My teeth were chattering and I was actually like shaking. It was pretty rough. I've had fights like that before where it's so cold that when it's time to put water on you, just skip it in the corner. I'm like, don't touch me. So when you're on TV, you definitely have to do more demonstrative protections against COVID. Like, me and my opponent are clearly going to be fighting each other with no masks on, but for TV, for our walkout, for our Ramoy, we had to wear these like plastic face shields, and they fit oddly, so it was like a team of people trying to fit it to my head. It's complicated. So now we're actually in the ring. This is more than 30 minutes later from getting my gloves put on. There was a 30-minute intro with us in the ring. It was kind of cool because the camera crew for Channel 5 is the same camera crew that has worked for Karchuk fights that I fought on, so they all knew me, so they're all like talking to me by name, like Sylvie, Sylvie. It's like kind of funny. This is Namtip, or Anucha, my opponent. I fought her, I believe, 3 times before this, so this is our 4th time. The title, 112-pound featherweight title for IPCC is 51 kilos. I walk around at like 45.7, 46, like 100 pounds. I think Namtip is a little bit north of 112, but I don't know what she was weighing for this fight. She has a really beautiful Ramoy though. So the announcers are talking about the flyweight IPCC title that we're fighting for. They're talking about me coming from America. They mentioned that I'm from Colorado,
สหรัฐอเมริ
which is
กา
nice.
ส่วนมุมน้ำเงินนะครับเป็นสาวไทยนะครับน้ำทิพย์
And
สออนุ
Namtip
ชา
comes from Hangdong, which is an area of Chiang Mai.
น้องน้ำทิพย์
So they give a little bit of a bio of each of us.
นางสาวพิมพ์อักษรอินก้อนมวยของอำเภอหางดงเชียงใหม่
It's interesting, since COVID, broadcast fights came out first because there was no audience. They would just put them on TV. This is outdoors, there is an audience, but ring card girls actually have become a bigger thing in Thai fighting than they were prior to COVID. COVID has given us more ring card girls than there used to be.
ให้การสนับสนุนสำหรับน้ำทิพย์สออนุชาท่านหมุนเงินครับ
This is the TV broadcast on Channel 5. You can see that in the top right corner.
อดีตยอดมวยไทยชื่อดังนะครับยอดเซียนคฤหาสน์สอสุภาวัน
They're mentioning that Yodsian Karahat is in my
เชีย
corner.
งใหม่นะครับจอมทองแฟมิลี่
He's
มวย
super,
ไทย
super famous, because why wouldn't he be? He was amazing in the golden age. People get excited to see him.
ยกที่1เริ่มเลยนะครับ
So I've been doing a lot of work in the time that there's been no fights for me during COVID. I've been training. I've been working on myself. I'm trying to do Sylvie 3.0, like becoming a new fighter. This is part of what is happening in this fight, is I'm staying much closer than I previously have been able to. I know Namtip, we've fought before, so I know that she's got nice tidy hands. I know that she likes to do a combo of punches and then a kick. She knows me too, for sure. So she's also dealing with what she knows is coming from me.
ทางด้านมุมแดงซินวีพิทูเพชรตุ้งเรืองอย่างที่นนทลายได้เรียนนะครับจากโน่นเลยครับสหรัฐอเมริกาครับโคโลราโด
So the announcers again are saying that I'm American, that I come from Colorado, that I've been living in Thailand for a long time, and that I speak Thai.
มวยไทยหญิงของ
I was actually quite surprised. I didn't note it when I was actually fighting the fight, but when I watched the fight afterwards, I was really surprised by how good my long guard was. That's something that I have learned for years, but never actually implemented the way that I wanted to, and it was really working in this fight. That kick that she just threw on me hurt. It hit on my hip. They're breaking the clinch pretty fast in round one. But I'm basically just very handsy in this fight. I was throwing a lot of body punches. But I'm really happy with the proximity that I'm keeping to her. I usually am trailing behind, like farther away than this, and it's harder to close that distance. I have to be a close fighter.
ใช้แผนตั้งรับก่อนนะครับยกที่1ไปขวาเกี่ยวครับยังไม่ได้ครับซิลวี่เข้าในปั้มตีได้ไหม
So the announcers are like, Sylvie goes in for the clinch. Will Namtip take it?
กรรมการอำนาจจันทร์ขอดมากำลังเกมกำลังเริ่มเลยครับ
That long guard, honestly, I wasn't even aware of it after the fight. Like, the way I felt after this fight is not the way I feel about it watching it now. It's your head tells you what things are in a very different way from how they really are. I've had this arm hook for a while, but it's coming together much nicer now. I like that I'm throwing like high-low, lots of body punches. My last fight, which was 7 months ago against Palmy, I was throwing a lot of body punches in that fight as well, so it's cool that it like stayed in that 7 months and has been something that I'm gonna keep. Oh, you can see our size difference there. Good God. Body punch. So this is Kevin's footage from the live stream and from the camera. This is his camera, so it's really nice between rounds. This isn't the live broadcast anymore. This is Kevin's camera. You might be able to hear there are these two kind of like cheerleaders. There's this very, very famous, he's like the mascot of Thai sports. His name is Dodo. He's awesome. There are two not Dodo, but like Dodo, like kind of local, behind me, and they're screaming in English, Thailand go, Thailand go, which you might be able to hear a little bit under in the like ambient sound. Karahat is telling me that he likes my body punches, but he wants me to, after my left hook, to come up higher. He's like, body punch good, but then come up with something after. they're doing this thing. They wipe down the ropes between every round. This is, again, part of COVID operations. Kevin's yelling at me to gallop to stay a little bit closer. When fights are on TV, the like time between rounds, the break feels much longer. I don't know if it actually is, but it feels weird. It feels like you have to like wait for the commercial to be over or something. Here we go back to the live broadcast. Namtip is coming at me now. She's totally throwing combination kicks. I'm locking her arm out pretty nice. I'm on the outside there for a little bit of an elbow. I've been sparring with Yodkun Pan, the elbow hunter of 100 stitches, so my elbows are really coming online now. He's very generous. He lets me throw elbows at him with elbow pads on. I like that right cross coming in on it. It's a little bit slow. I like caught her leg and there was like a slow collapse together. But I actually like that because for a very long time I've been rushing, and I can see my pacing in this fight is very different than it ever has been before. I have like a kind of steadiness that makes me very happy. It's not something that just happens. It's taken a lot of exposure of sparring. She likes these like one side kicks to really kind of punish me. She's trying to like face smush me, but I've got a lock. The lock beats the face smush usually. This Kara jumping up in the corner like once hooks to the body. So straight to the body. Some knees. I love this. The ref just pops us off the ropes. This is old school. He's not breaking it. He just pops us off. That's like good refereeing. Swimming, locking our arms. He's breaking us in space. That round felt much faster than the first round. Kevin timed it. I think they didn't change the clock from the pre-fights that were before the broadcast. The pre-fights were all men, and women fight 2-minute rounds, men fight 3-minute rounds, so I think they just hadn't changed the clock. The announcer actually says something about 2-minute rounds going into the second round, and so they changed it. So the second round literally is shorter than the first round, because the first round was 3 minutes. They hadn't changed the clock yet, but the rest of them will be 2. Carhat had another fighter on this show, very small girl. She's like 40 kilos about. Her name is Dengua. She fought a couple of fights after me, so he basically was there to take care of both me and her. Him being actually in the ring with the vest on, doing all of this is usually what like a pad man or like a lower level person in the gym would be doing, so it's actually super generous and beautiful that Karahat, in a way that he just does not have an ego about these kinds of things, totally was just jumping in the ring and doing all of this stuff himself. Diesel Noy is also like this. Diesel Noy is like top tier legend. He will totally get in the ring with a vest on and like do the grunt work. He's amazing. Karhat's been in my corner for another title, I think close to this weight, but many years ago. It's maybe 3 years ago. I lost that fight terribly. And he was very nice. Like he complained about the size difference a little bit, but he was not like disappointed in me or anything. But so it was really nice to kind of be able to relive that, having expanded myself and grown personally, to be like, okay, we do this again. Having both kind of grown with those 3 years together. We've trained together many times. He's in the Muay Thai Library. I've done intensives with him. I've spent entire months training just with him. Thailand go. Thailand go. ท่านจำกัดโดยนายธนากรมั่นกิจกรรมการผู้จัดการร่วมกับบริษัทศิวะวงศ์ Development จำกัดโดยนาย So I'm galloping a little bit, trying to eat that space. Namtip is coming with kicks. That's a very good idea for her. She's got this like bringing her front leg up to keep me out. She's actually keeping me off quite well. I'm just not bouncing back as much as I used to. She comes with these like sets of punches. This is what's familiar for her style to me. That, oh, she's nailing me, and she's significantly bigger than me, maybe like 15 to 17 pounds bigger than me. Her kicks hurt. But what's different in what I'm doing is that I look far less impacted by that, and I'm staying closer to her. Like, I'm not bouncing out and having to cover that space again. I've got my head against her now, and I'm like grinding into her while I'm changing angles and throwing knees. The announcers are talking about how from round 1, Sylvie's been durning, which means I'm the one coming forward. And now this is round 3, this is the first really important scoring round. So usually who's durning is like trying to take the fight, but I've been doing it since round 1, so I'm like continuing with what my story has been. Oh, that arm loop is working for me. I'm kind of twisting, landing to open side. She's really good at keeping her hips in. This is complicated for me because I'm so much smaller. Karahat wants me to like trip when people do that, like that. The announcers are saying that Namtip can't handle my strength. Kang is like bodily strength. Kang Lang being like hard and strong. They're saying that I don't stop and I have both left and right. End of round 3. The way Namtip is going to her corner, she's not feeling that round. I'm very calm between rounds, which is nice. I'm cold, but I'm happy to not have like the bucket with ice. Karhat's just doing kind of like tepid, room temperature water from the bottle. This kind of massage between rounds, if people aren't familiar with it, it's basically just to like loosen up the muscles a little bit. If you've been checking kicks or hit anywhere, usually it's a bucket of ice, and so they'll be running ice over your shins, over your arms. It cools you down to kind of like let you reset and catch your breath, but it also like ices things and kind of releases the muscles a little bit. Unfortunately, my laces were tied a little bit too tight on my hands, which is unusual. I have very, very small wrists, so it's hard to get things too tight. And it wouldn't have been a problem at all, time-wise, if we had just gotten in the ring and fought. But because we had this like 30-minute intro for TV introducing all of the head haunches and things, which is totally part of the show as well, I've had these gloves on for like 45 minutes, and my arms were kind of like burning out, like they felt a little bit dead because of the cutting off circulation from the laces just a little bit. But I could feel it. It was like a heaviness in my arms. You can see me shaking them out there. So the announcer's talking about a sponsor. They had like a whitening soap gold bar as one of the sponsors. They're talking about Madam O. She actually came up to me after the fight, a woman from that company, and took a bunch of photos with me. Here we go back to broadcast. I kicked. I do kick in fights, but I'm happy every time I do because I kick a shit ton in training and then like not very much in fights. A little bit of a arm over the rope there, but that's all right. I've got a little bounce, trying to like keep my feet moving. Namtip knows me. She is now just in round 4 coming with elbows because basically her option now is to cut me to have a chance in this fight, or to just intimidate me to like keep me at a distance. Because I've been sparring with Yodkampan and I've been sparring with elbows, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's have an elbow war. So I'm throwing elbows back at her, which is not something that I've done a lot of. She does not like it. And my long guard is coming out really nice too, so it's keeping her at too far away for her elbows to land, even though she's so much taller. There she goes. Backing me up a little bit. My guard's working. Cross block with my knee. But now I've got her arm completely pinned to her face. She's so pumped. You can't do anything. They're talking about me again. They're like, oh, the little one from Colorado. They're talking about the elbows. They're excited about the elbow exchange in this round. Oh, this sucks for her. Swim in, get that arm around. I'm kind of like, I call this atomic squirrel when I like climb on someone bigger than me. That's what that is. I'm basically just trying to not let her have a chance to breathe. What she needs to look really good, and she is good at this, is to have enough space where she can back up, post, and time when I come into the right distance and she can kick me or punch me. I'm just not giving her that opportunity. I'm basically drowning her by keeping close too much. See the difference in our body language of how this is going. Kevin's telling me I gotta go. I was talking over it before, but after round 2, Kevin was like, maybe it was even after round 1, Kevin was like, this is only a 3-round fight. There had been a fight in Chiang Mai about a week before this one, also on Channel 5, where it was for a title between 2 female fighters that we know, and the rounds had been completely rearranged, and so one fighter knew it was 3 rounds and one fighter thought it was 5 rounds and so fought like it was 5 rounds, and it was a mess. So we were very paranoid about whether this was really going to be a 5-round fight, which it should be for a title, or whether it was going to be a 3-round fight. So earlier Kevin was like, I think it's only a 3-round fight because round 1 was 3 minutes, but so once we got to round 4 he was like, okay, it's a 5-round fight. I've been fighting throughout this fight so that a 3-round fight would work. I hate 3-round fights. I don't fight them if I can avoid it. So once it got to 4, we were like, all right, it's going to be a 5-round fight. That's good. The cameraman over on this corner is actually calling to me, and he's like, go, because he knows me from Karchuk, so he's like, Sylvie, go kill her. It's funny. These are head honcho guys from Chiang Rai. Going into round 5, you hug and say sorry, usually. Namtip basically like spent her wad of money in round 4 coming at me with those elbows. She's gonna try to be backing up, preserving her energy a little bit. She's been a little bit brought to the deep end in this fight in terms of me staying so close and clinching her, hitting her with knees. So I didn't want to leave anything unclear in the fight. I wanted to keep going in round 5, even though I knew I'd won all the other rounds. You just don't know. Oh, I love that long guard is coming out. It's totally, I don't even think when I train it looks like that, but it's coming out really nice here. Oh, that worked for her. Back against the rope, like repeated teep into the belly. But this is my distance. This is my spot. The announcer just called me Niao, which means sticky. I'm very sticky. So I've done enough now where like I can basically just take the win and she can concede or not, and she is conceding. She knows how to fight a fight, so even if you're gonna like concede the fight in round 5, you'll see people just go to opposite ends of the ring and like kind of totally dance it off. She knows better than that. She's gonna try to stay close to me and like maybe try to throw a score here or there, like come with a kick to try to land or something like this, but it's basically like we're gonna play out this fight because there's nothing she can do to win at this point. I used to be super terrible at my dance-offs because I didn't know how to go backwards very well. Stay close like this, but just block everything. Like, you don't need to go super to opposite ends of the ring or anything like that.
วันนี้เป็นการรวมพลังกันนะครับทั้งภาครัฐและภาคเอกชนนะครับทำให้เกิดศึกมาดามโอครับณป่าก่อดำไฟ
So because it's for a belt,
เกมการชกบนเวทีจบแล้วนะ
people
ครับ
get in the ring,
ก
they
รรมการ
are going to read the scores, make it like
จาก
official.
กรรมการทั้ง3ท่านเดี๋ยวจะมีการประกาศคะแนนอย่างเป็นทางการนะครับอาจารย์บัญชา
I felt actually super awful about this fight right after the fight, to be honest about it. I felt like I just fought the way that I used to fight, and like none of the things I've been working on in the past 7 months felt like they made it into the ring with me. They did. Like when I watch it, there's so much of it there, but I felt horrible after this fight, which just goes to show that like when you turn your inner coach critical mind on, it's gonna look for the things that you're looking to be upset about. So I'm happy that I have footage of my fight to be able to educate myself about how it actually went rather than just how it felt.
คะแนนอยู่ในมือของอาจารย์เลยนะครับเชิญอาจารย์บัญชาครับเชิญครับ
ท่านผู้ชมและท่านผู้มีเกียรติที่เคารพต่อไปนี้เป็นผลของการให้คะแนนจากกรรมการ
So he's going to read the scores. He reads the name of the
กรรมการท่านที่
judge.
1ดาบตำรวจมนตรีวงอภิสิทธิ์
I speak Thai, so I could hear this in the ring.
50คะแนน
Red gets
ให้นักมวย
50,
ฝ่ายน้ำเงิน
Blue
47คะแนน
47.
กรรมการอาจารย์เกียรติพงษ์วงศ์
Judge
พาด
number
ให้
2
นักมวยฝ่ายแดง50คะแนน
gives Red 50,
ให้นักมวยฝ่ายน้ำเงิน
Blue
47คะแนน
47,
และกรรมการอาจารย์ประภัสหานตระกูลให้นักมวยฝ่ายแดง
and the
50
third
คะแนน
judge gives
น้ำเงิน
Red
47
50.
คะแนนนักมวย
and
ฝ่าย
Blue
แดงเป็น
47.
ฝ่ายชนะคะแนน
So
อย่างเป็นเอกฉันท์นะครับ
I think they score the first 2 rounds 10-10, and so the 50-47 is basically from round 3 on. Not 100% on that, but that's generally how scoring goes in Muay Thai.
ครับเรียนเชิญท่านนายกได้ครับท่านนายกเชิญครับคาดเข็มขัดแชมป์ครับเชิญครับท่านนายกเชิญครับ
So then they put the belt on you for TV. They had not fitted it to me prior to the fight, so it was too loose, and it kind of like kept unbuckling itself like while it was on me, so it gets a little bit wonk. But you have to like stand there with the cameras, and then someone eventually will like cue you and be like, okay, you can get out now. So this is coming out of the ring, just right to the side. And this guy in the white is there to collect the belt, to like take it back. We're like, can we take a photo of it first? He was like super eager. He's like asking for it back already, and Karahat's like, let us get a photo of it. So Karahat comes over and he's like trying to adjust the strap smaller so that he can make it look nice for a photo.
Always good when the legend Karahat puts your belt on.
Karahat putting my belt on, that's pretty cool. The little like latchy part, when there's not enough tension on it because it's too loose, it just won't hold itself together, so it was kind of like coming off the side. Because he's wearing all of this stuff, he's like a little bit stressed about like getting the strap right, and then the guy's asking for the belt, and then on top of that he needs to go get to his other fighter. So it's like Karahat's not a stressed dude, he's a very relaxed dude, but he's like slightly stressed at this moment. There we go. Get a nice shot with that.
No, I don't have a camera.
So Kevin's live streaming, and then he's also filming with his camera, which you're looking at. You're looking at his film, so he couldn't take a photo. So we're posing for someone who's kind of over here, and then the light was strange, so I think that we end up reversing direction for that. That's a nice photo, though. Yeah, so we switched direction. The lights were all like changing colors while we're trying to get this photo, and the next fight is coming in.
Ladies, say bye.
So I'm saying thank you to everyone who watched the live stream. Thank you to my sponsors, all my patrons. This woman came up to get a photo while I still had the belt on. It was very nice. So these are again some stills that Kevin took. I actually really love my posture in these photos. You can't choose that. I have like a calm face in the ring. Again, I have so many fights where I have like gargoyle face, which you're fighting, like you can't look beautiful while you're fighting all the time, but the thing is that like when you snap a picture in time just out of nowhere, it tells a truth because the randomness of it expresses what is happening with your face frequently enough that you can get a photo like that. So the fact that my photos now capture a more calm face, it's a beautiful posture of Namtip there. You can see our size difference here. The fact that like just snapping you can get a calm face from me or like my posture up, that's telling a truth that didn't used to be there. And so that's actually really cool for me to see. Got this like, I think Karahat's fixing my shorts, but I've got this totally like Bane back thing going on in that shot. I like the microphone on that one. Kevin's photography is just unreal and it keeps developing. He's changing and advancing in his photography so fast. That's kind of the like solitariness of the sport. That's a like jumping teep. It's very Master K actually. Again, the solitude of the sport in that one, I think. I like this one. A little bit of swagger. And that's the like official 112 IPCC belt for fight 265.